Hello, everyone. We are happy to be with you tonight. I am with Pauline, and we are very pleased to welcome you all and Jocelyn for our second webinar, Elevate the Leader in You. Pauline and I are passionate about co-elevation, co-creation, and self-development. We believe most events we attend spark a light in our lives, in our minds. They are very useful. But when it comes to take something out of it, to reuse something from next day, we are still craving for more tangible solutions. This is why we are launching Elevate the Leader in You. So it's 30 minutes, a leader in its field, many tools and ideas you can apply from today in your life and work. So our ultimate goal is really to apply, to give you ideas that you can apply in your life and learn from each other and grow collectively. So today we are going to discuss with Jocelyn for the next 15-20 minutes and then open the floor to your questions.
And today we are going to talk about leadership with Jocelyn, because leadership is developed in many books by the greatest researchers, some best-selling authors, and you will find easily many different definitions of leadership. But you will see actually how people, you ask, see leadership. And there is only one way for us to understand what really leadership is. And that's when we see it, when we observe it, when we touch it, actually. Jocelyn has met many leaders, and by observing them, he has identified a common behavior, the capacity to be bold. During this conversation with Jocelyn, we aim to explore and provide you with some tools and concrete tips to go beyond and to explore what makes us being bold and what stops us from being bold. For that, we will learn from his career as a consultant, and we will detail some thoughts he already shared in the book Be Bold, in the How to book Be Bold. And I let you the floor, Daniel, to introduce Jocelyn.
Yes, thank you, Pauline. So Jocelyn is a specialist in leadership challenge. He has published numerous articles on related topics and has authored 5 books. There is one, Human Nature, is an international bestseller. In his book, Be Bold, is this one, Oser in French or Be Bold in English, co-authored with Olivier Boulot, is designed to help individuals to develop leadership behaviors in their personal and professional lives. So Jocelyn was also one of the founders and president of Quebec's Association for Customer Service and was a member of the advisory committee of Quebec Quality Movement. Among loads of different business, last one created with his associate Frédéric Charpentier, Jocelyn started Vision d'Or, which is a new venture which specializes in the creation and facilitation of corporate events. I've met Jocelyn 4 years ago, and I immediately realized that this guy was special. Actually, his experience was incredible, and every time we've met, I learned so many things that I really felt that we could not miss Jocelyn's insights into these conferences, Elevate the Leader in You. It's very interesting. We have used it with my innovation champions in the bank. We have used as personal advice also many times. Jocelyn have helped me. So I'm very happy to be here with him. So with Jocelyn, we will talk about the book, How to Be Bold. It's all about how to be a leader, developing 4 different vectors for daring, and how to activate boldness within you, create action, and bring your projects to life. I would like to dedicate this webinar to the memory of Olivier Boulot, of the book of Be Bold. It was a very beautiful that have left us too early. So let's start. Jocelyn, hello. Tell us about
Hi.
who you are and what made you do what you do.
Well, thank you very much for this lovely introduction, Danielle and Pauline. Thank you. Thank you also for all of you joining us today. It's I'm talking to you from a little village close to Quebec City in Canada, called Neuville. Beautiful. It's summer here. It's about 40 degrees. I was on my roof a couple of hours ago fixing some shingles. I'm thrilled to be here. So thank you for joining us today. Um, Pauline and Danielle both introduced the topic of leaders as people being bold. And that's probably what I found with all the work I've done with leaders of, some of them are country leaders, political leaders, some are movement leaders, business leaders, men or women, obviously. And I found that, and you know that if you study leadership, there's all kinds of definitions. I just, as I was being introduced, I just typed leadership on Google, and I had 730 million hits right away. I mean, it's a topic that we've tried to understand a lot, and we're still trying to understand it. Well, I think understanding things is useful, obviously, but it doesn't get the job done. And what I found working with people is that most of them, you could define their leadership style. And if you analyze them through some whatever, grid you had, you could say, oh, this is this style or that style and a color, or all of that is true. But one of the common things is that leaders take bold decisions. They do bold actions when others don't do it. And you see it with kids, who have ideas that they bring their kids and their friends into. Hey, let's do this. Hey, let's go find this. Hey, why don't we? They're leaders, and you see it in businesses and personal life. You have people who are good at seeing things that others don't. That when everybody's quiet, somebody puts up their hand and says, you know what? I have an idea. That's leadership. When you see these people, you see leadership in action. And it's not a title. It's not you can be a manager and be a good manager, but you're not necessarily a good leader. And you can be a good leader and not be a good manager. Managing means making things happen. There's an analogy we use in Quebec to explain leadership and management. Very simple. We have these huge forests here in Quebec. And if you go and have a good manager, he'll make sure that the teams are out there and that the trucks are sent to the right places and there's fuel and camps and the men and women are there and they're doing all the right thing to cut the trees down and harvest the forest. That's good management. A leader might go up a tree and call out, hey guys, wrong forest. It's a perspective on things that changes. And so leadership to me is that act of seeing things that others don't see, calling out things that others don't call out, being bold in your own life, taking action when others don't want to. That's leadership. You see it in sports, you see it in film, you see it in actors, you see it in theater. It's different ways of expressing it, but it's always coming from a bold desire to make things happen. And so what I want to do today is, in this short time we have, is kind of look at what helps us develop that boldness. Because if being bold means taking leadership in our lives, professionally or personally, to me, I put both together here, then we're moving ahead for that. So that, Danielle and Pauline, is really what I wanted to set the tone as what we're here to do. I'm yours.
Thank you, Jocelyn. So with all the leaders you already met in your career, did you identify anything such as a leader profile or a mandatory skill that we need to be a good leader?
Well, there's leaders I like more than others, and that's a difference because uh, leadership doesn't mean to be liked. I might like somebody, but leaders are also people who are willing to not be liked to get the job done. And there's certain styles that are more akin to my style. I prefer people who are gentle with people, but that's not always appropriate. Sometimes leadership doesn't mean to be nice with people. Sometimes it means to be hard with the facts and get the job done. So different styles of leadership, as I said, to me, that's kind of more or less interesting to find a leadership style. Again, what I find is that they have the courage to do the things that need to be done or to say the things that need to be said. And that happens at all ages and all walks of life and in all aspects of businesses. And I saw political leaders, crazy ones, throwing things at people. Literally, I won't say who, but take a cellular phone and throw it at someone. Take documents and throw them across the table. But they were good leaders. They really were. They just were not likable people. So, they get the job done. They bring the country to where they think it should go. And they're doing a good job. I just don't like their style.
Thank you. So how could we tackle the courage to be bold?
Well, okay. You've invited me to talk about being bold based on my book, Be Bold. And so if you want, what we can do is maybe look at a little bit of some of the messages in there and some of the exercises. It's really called Be Bold, a practical guide. I'm a pragmatic kind of guy. As you see, I have permanent snow on top of my mountain now. I've been a consultant for 30 years. I believe to make things happen, you have to get into action. And so my book, and the book I wrote with Olivier, may he rest in peace, is really a book to help us look concretely at actions that help us develop our boldness. And so there's 4 angles that I think are useful when you want to tackle something that you consider bold. And here, I think it's important to say that what you consider bold, I might not consider bold. And what I consider bold, you might not consider bold, because it's what's bold for you is not for me, and vice versa. So that's irrelevant. It's really, if it's bold, it's bold. It's bold for the person. So there's 4 angles to which I look at leaders and the way they operate. And often when they want to do something bold, they look at what's in it for us. What's the benefits of this? Is it worth the effort, the time, the energy we're going to put into that?
Sorry about that. I was not touching anything, and I don't know why the song.
That was a minute from our sponsor.
It was just to wake up the audience.
All right. So, Danielle, you're using your daughter's computer, I think. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes,
I
exactly.
think she's playing with me, and she's putting it.
Something's happened just instantly. So I was saying this. So the leaders look at 4 angles to take on bold projects. What's the benefit? If the benefit is not worth it, then it doesn't take a bold action. It's just like business as usual. The second aspect of being bold or looking at a bold project is what's the price to pay? What are we going to have to invest in time, in effort, in money, in energy to make this thing happen? So if the benefit is not there, what's the price to pay? What's the investment of time, effort, and money? The third thing that we need to look at when we want to look at a bold project is what are the obstacles? What is going to stop us? What's going to be in front of us? So the benefits, the price to pay, the obstacles, and finally, what do I have as support? What's out there? Who do I know? What systems exist? What supports exist? So from these 4 angles, I can envision something bold and look at it from, are the benefits good enough? Do I understand the price to pay, and am I willing to pay it? Can I see the obstacles, and am I willing to do what's necessary to move through them? And finally, what do I have as support to help me? So these 4 vectors are 4 angles in which you can look, you and I, when you look at a bold project from that perspective. And so if you want, we can maybe take all of these 4 and look at them individually in the time we have, and maybe look at some of the briefly exercises we can do to think through something. So some might be very clear to you, others less. Again, this is not a science. It's really more of an art. And you might personally, those of you listening to us right now, think, oh, this is important to me. And for somebody else, that's not important to them at all. Something else will be. So anything is good.
Yes. And a point that I really appreciated in your book is about the benefits that we can find in being bold.
Yep.
It was about the how we are conditioned and how we think we can think something totally false just because we always hear about something, sure, and we consider that the perfect true, yeah, but that's not the truth. So how we can go beyond our beliefs conditions?
Sure. Good. That's a good question. The book is based on metaphors, analogies, and some of them are animal based. They're all based on nature. I think it's easy, helps us understand things. What you're talking about, Pauline, here is the analogy that I called of the monkey. Some of you might have heard it. They took three monkeys, they put them in a cage, and they put nice ripe bananas in that cage. And every time the monkeys wanted to go take the bananas, obviously they were interested, they got a cold shower. It didn't take time. The monkeys stopped trying to get the bananas. Obviously, they got a cold shower every time. So when that happened, they took one of the original monkeys out. They put a new monkey in. And obviously, this new monkey says, hey, ripe bananas. Starts to go for the bananas. And the two other monkeys jump on that monkey and hit him. Literally, that's a real experience. Don't touch the bananas. We're going to get a cold shower. And so that monkey rapidly learns, all right, I'm not touching the bananas. And so they take another original monkey out. They put a new one in. The new one goes to the bananas. The others hit the banana. At the end, you have three monkeys who never had a cold shower, but they were taught by the others, don't touch the bananas. I'm hitting you if you want to touch the bananas. They don't know why. They just don't do it. And I think you and I are conditioned in the same way by all kinds of things that happen in our lives. You better be poor and happy than rich and unhappy. Well, chances are you're not going to be rich in your life if you value happiness. Your parents taught you that. I had a friend who had that belief. They were very poor. And he told me that for years when he would drive by a nice house and there'd be a nice car in the driveway, he had this thought, oh, yeah, but they're not happy. Automatically. He said, I knew they were not happy. He was sure of that. And so your question is, how do we see beyond that? Because it's like looking at life through colored glasses. We don't see that. We have to challenge our beliefs. So one of the things is that an exercise you can do is look at, why am I, let's say you want to do something. I don't know. You want to, you want to change your customer marketing strategy. But you're afraid that you might lose some. Let me use another example. I had a friend who lost her job, wanted to start a new business, but was sure she couldn't get the money. In the space of 10 minutes, by looking, do you think he'd lend you 2,000 euros and him 2,000 euros? She rapidly had 20,000 euros. She could start her business. But then she went, yeah, but really, I'm not sure. The problem is not money. So ask yourself the question the following way. If I want to do this, I don't want to, if I can't do this because I don't have time. Okay, I can't do this because I don't have the money. I can't do this because I don't have the skills. I can't do this because what's my mother going to think if I fail? After the first easy ones, you're going to start looking into the ones that are more true. How am I going to be perceived if I fail? Well, that's starting to hit more home, right? So you're starting to question, because I don't want to be unhappy, because I don't want to deceive someone, because I'm afraid of losing. Now you're starting to look at the real things, which are not the superficial ones that are easy to go. So ask questions many times, the same question. So if you ask that same question 10 times, I'm not doing this because, an answer, I'm not doing this because, answer, I'm telling you, by the 5th or 6th answer, you're going to start telling truth about your thinking about things. Easy exercise to do.
Yeah, easy exercise. That's
Yeah,
true.
very true, very true. And to go in this field, you talk also about the fact that it's not because things are hard that we do not dare. It's because we don't dare that they seems to be hard. Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah, that's Seneca who says that. I think that all of us have experience in our lives what happens before and after we make a decision. Changing jobs, moving, leaving a bad relationship or one you don't want to be involved in anymore. Doing something that you care for, and there's all before that, there's a hesitation, the thoughts, the fears, the what if. But once you make the decision, then suddenly all kinds of things start to align. There's like a freedom that happens. And so the difficulty is not doing something more than doing something. When you want to do something, it's difficult to not do it because you're in the wanting to, but stopping yourself from doing it. So again, if you look at how you speak about things, that might be a way that you can illustrate that. What are the words that you're using to describe your project? Are you using possibilities? oh, I can't do this because, it's never going to work? Are you surrounding yourselves with people like that? Oh, Danielle, you've tried this 3 times. It's never worked in your life. Come on, stop it already. Well, maybe the fourth time is going to be the right one. So are you surrounding people who are supporting you, who are looking at possibilities or at impossibilities? Because if you argue for the reasons why something is not possible, I'm telling you, you will find reasons. But argue why they're possible, you will find reasons. I work with the head of a very big French company who looked at possibilities in a very surprising way. And people would say, we can't do that. And she would say, why not? And then they'd give up a whole bunch of answers. And she would say, okay, so why not? And at the end, there was no why not left. There was just, well, okay, we could. So there's this challenge that you can put in your own head of what language are you using? Because your language conditions your thoughts, or your thoughts condition your language. If you're thinking, I can't do that, you're talking, I can't do that, and then you're not doing it. Your actions are conditioned by that. But if you're starting to look at, how can I do this? Why can I do this? Who can I go do it with? Then you're starting to look at possibilities. Easy exercise again. What thoughts are you having? What people are you surrounded with? Are people supporting you or stopping you?
Yes, thank you. And about the boldness, there is something about the time, because time is infinite, but ours is not. So how can we leverage the now and take action from today?
Yeah, that comes back to your original, I think, topic of what you were saying, the original, but a minute ago, Danielle, on Sénèque. It's not difficult because we don't do it. It's because we don't do it that it's difficult. And if you want to take on something, start planning it. Write it down. What do you want to do? You want to run the Boston Marathon? Great. I won't do it tomorrow. I'm not in shape to do that. But if that's something I want to do, then what do I need to do? I need to maybe read books about running the marathon. What exercises should I do? What kind of food should I do? If I need to organize this trip, how long does it take? How much money does it cost? How long do I need to be there for? These are all planning things. And if you don't plan them, great leaders are not necessarily good planners, but they can see what needs to happen. Sometimes they see it big. Managers might be more precise in doing it, but they see, all right, if this needs to happen, we need to plan it out. It doesn't happen. You don't change your life by sitting in your couch. I've never seen that happen. Rarely anyways. But I see people who are out there planning things and then trying them. And to me, that's the analogy of the avalanche. Unless you're an expert, if you look at an avalanche before it actually happens, nothing will tell you that it's just about to happen. It's just snow on a mountain. But then the change in temperature, a skier goes by, a little bit of snow falls, and then this avalanche suddenly rips up, and 700 kilometers an hour will destroy everything in its way. Human life is also like that. You never know what's the next thing you're going to do that will move your project forward. Maybe all these things you've tried before have not worked, and you've planned this and this and this, and that hasn't worked. But the next one's not going to work. You can't know that. The problem is that we live looking at our past. Well, it's never worked before. It's sure not going to work in the future. And then you go back to your thoughts and your language, and you're saying it's never going to work in the future. That's it. It's not going to work. But if you're looking at maybe this next call, maybe this next person, maybe this next action, maybe this next activity will be the thing that moves it forward. And I know you and I, everybody listening to us, we've all experienced that in our lives. Every one of us, where you thought it was like helpless. And suddenly something happened. Somebody gave you a call out of the blue. You expected something and whoop, it just showed up. You couldn't plan that. But because you were prepared and you had planned it, you were able to take opportunity and move forward with it. So plan, and then also stay committed to your plan. That's probably the most difficult thing. What I see leaders do is they remain committed to their commitment. Let me say that again. They remain committed to their commitment. Making commitments is easy. I can commit to all kinds of things. Remaining committed to that commitment, that's the hard part. Because when the reality shows up and it confronts you with the obstacles or the difficulties, then am I still committed? Those of you who stop smoking, for example, it's easy to stop smoking until the next cigarette need. And then you say, okay, am I giving up? Oh, okay. And then that's it for that commitment. You need to take it again. Stay committed to your commitment. That's what I see great leaders do. They stay committed to their commitments.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you. So we are going, time flies. We are going to our last
It does.
question.
Sure.
And then we move to the question. So don't hesitate if you want to share, if you have something, Jocelyn, to put it on the chat. You can put it in French, in English, as you feel more comfortable, and we will manage to take it. And we will ask Pauline Laura to join us for the questions. But before that, we are in a hybrid and digital world now. So how this new way of interaction changes your vectors of daring?
I'm sorry, your sound cut. You froze for a second right in the middle of your question, Danielle. I couldn't hear it.
Yes, I do it again. So it's we are in a hybrid world, and how this new way of interaction changes our vectors of daring in the digital world.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure I have the magic answer, but I think what it highlighted is the need we have as human beings to connect with people. We all tried to connect in every kinds of ways. We went to Zoom and Teams and we wanted to connect. People wanted to connect. We were happy for a while to be all right, out of the office. I'm not bothered anymore, but that didn't last for very long. We needed to connect because we had things to do, but because we wanted to do them with other people. Most of us want to do things with people. So that's certainly one of the lessons from this, is that need to connect will remain. And whether we do it virtually or not, I know I'm a people person. I lack that contact of shaking somebody's hand, of hugging someone, of just being face to face with clients in their offices, and just, being people, being human. And distance that happens with a screen kind of, put a bit of a damper on that. So that's not, we're not going to disappear as humans behind our screens. I think that there's aspects that are really convenient of this dematerialization of our ways of working. Very useful, especially for those of us who work, with our heads and that kind of thing. We're not making physical things, but in that sense, the need to connect with people, that will stay there.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn. So
Yes, maybe we will. Laura, maybe? Yes, Laura, if you can join us now in order to ask questions.
Do everybody know Laura? Because we know Pauline, we know
yes.
Danielle. Laura, people know Laura. They know her.
Yeah. Laura, can you hear us? We don't have sound. You are online, okay, Laura.
So.
Can you hear us?
Well, maybe in the meantime, Laura, are you there? And yes, no, maybe we lost Pauline.
Yeah. So the LSS of the direct.
Okay, I see the private chat. Laura's writing to me in chat. There's questions for Jocelyn. I don't see a question now.
Yes, send us the questions, Laura, if you have.
Sure. One of the topics that is that possible to transform a manager into a leader? Yes, there is. That's a great question. I worked with IBM in Bromont here in Quebec City. It's one of the most productive plants they have in the world. But they're engineers. Obviously, if you're working with IBM, you're engineers. And many companies, Michelin, the tire company, is doing the same thing. Laura, I see you. We're good. You can write the questions. It's fine. Michelin is doing the same things. Technical people grow up in organizations such as IBM, for example, and if they're good managers, they become in leadership positions. That's kind of normal. Except managers don't make good leaders. They make good managers. And a manager is not a good leader necessarily so. Some people are naturally, but it's not a given. So the question we have is, can we turn a manager into a leader? Here's what they did at IBM in Bromont. They have a program that they call Mission Impossible. And they trained their managers, who are engineers, into becoming leaders. For example, if an employee shows up with a problem, don't give him the solution. Ask him to come up with a solution. Ask questions so that this person can think through the process. Now, that's good leadership, right? To help somebody come up with their own solutions. So what they did, so they went to training programs to help these managers do that. But they obviously know that, 6 hours of training is not going to change somebody who's 55 years old, who's done this all their lives. Simultaneously, they had their employees have a checklist. And every time they'd go into their manager's office, at the end, they'd come out of the meeting and they'd fill the checklist. Did my manager give me an answer? Or did he or she help me find a solution? For example, there was a checklist. After 3 months of this program, anonymously, they didn't know that the manager, they put everybody into a room, employees and managers, and said, all right, we've been spying on you for the last 3 months. We wanted to check on your leadership skills. Here are your results. And so now it's very public. And obviously, it's not that great of results because, engineers are engineers. They're good at doing what they're doing. But now it's obvious, and now it's known, and now everybody knows it. And now they go back into the training program with those results. Employees are still spying on them, but now everybody knows it. And so, yes, you can train people to become leaders. You have to give them tools. It doesn't happen like that. It's not because they go into a training program called Leadership for the New Age. It doesn't work like that. People are who they are. Some of them are naturally born leaders. And you and I know some of these people. Others, good managers, have some skills in leadership, but they need to be honed. So yes, you can turn somebody into a leader, but you need to give them tools and you need to support them. And it's not a 3-hour training. It's a long-term process. Michelin has done the same thing. The tire company is over 100 years old. And if you were a good engineer, you became a manager, but you were not a good leader. And Michelin knows in this world, to be a great company, it's not about great products. It's about great people. And you need to develop your people if you want to develop your company. Company develops because you develop people, not products. People develop products. So develop people. So they've done the same thing with their engineers and technicians, is train them into these leadership skills.
Thank you, Jocelyn. I will talk because Laura doesn't have sound. So what have you learned from the pandemic?
Well, there's somebody, that's a good question, but there's a question I see from Joel.
Okay.
Can I answer the question?
Yes.
Again? Do we have time?
Yes, sure.
Somebody says somebody says we need an extra 30 minutes at least to listen. Sorry, guys. We'll do another one. Somebody says in French here, we're not working with vertical organizations anymore. We're working into organizations of people who are partners and not necessarily suppliers. Can we be a horizontal leader? Yes, absolutely. It requires a different set of skills. It requires to empower people. One of the things I've done with some companies and leadership is invite those partners who used to be called suppliers, but partners into the company. Come and work with us, with our employees. Work into the assembly line. See how do we do things. Where's your value added? And it's not only in your part, but where else can you be useful? Maybe there's some processes you use in your company that we should be using in ours. So a leader says there's talent out there everywhere. And co-development is that what we're doing right now is a little bit of that, is looking at what exists out there that I can put into my company. There's a series of hospitals in the United States that are now known to be the best in hospitality in the way they take care of their clients. Obviously, patients, it's a hospital. You know who they benchmarked with? They didn't benchmark with other hospitals. They benchmarked with Disney, Walt Disney, Disney World. Possibly the world's best at hospitality, how they take care of people. They went, these are the world's leaders in hospitality. That's our benchmark. And that's a hospital. That's who they benchmarked with. So yeah, leadership is certainly can be transversal. Thank you, Laura. We saw that question. Great. Thanks.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Do you want me to answer that question about the pandemic, Danielle? Do we have time?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Well, I have this theory, and I think the pandemic proved it, is that the world in which we live today, and it's been true for the last 50 years, let's say, is more and more splitting us into two really ways of acting on this planet. One way of acting is the following way. If it's, I don't care about you, I want it to work for me. You take care of your own problems, I take care of my own, and that's it. It's hard enough as it is. So Me, take care of your own stuff. I take care of my own. That's one way we see it. We could see the last administration in the United States, America first. It's kind of that thinking, right? The other one is the one that I believe in, will save us, is the one that says, if it's going to work for me, it has to work for you. If I pollute your water, eventually I'm going to drink polluted water. If I pollute your air, eventually I'm going to breathe polluted air. If it's going to work for me, it has to work for you. And this pandemic was exactly that. You saw people that said, I don't care about vaccination. I don't care about masks. That's your problem. You're afraid, you wear a mask. You want to be vaccinated, you be vaccinated. I don't care. And other people, hopefully the majority, says, you know what? If I'm not vaccinated, then I'm a transmitter of information. If I don't wear a mask, it's not for me, it's for others. And if it's going to work for others, for me, it has to work for others. So that's what I learned from the pandemic, is that truly the future of our planet will depend on how many people live in the following way. If it's going to work for me, it has to work for you. So I'm going to make it work for you because I know eventually it's going to make it work for me. And that's true for the environment. It's true for the wealth across the planet. It's true for access to food, to land, to money. It can't only work for some people and too bad for the others. It's not going to work.
That's true. Thank you very much, Jocelyn. To conclude, I would like to thank you very much for accepting our invitation to talk with us today and to give us a lot of tips, a lot of exercise to do. What I can do is to recommend this book because it's plenty of exercises. We just detail some of them today, but do not hesitate to have this book, this how-to book, in order to have many exercises to train yourself to be bold and to understand these 4 vectors. Our next webinar will be the 30th of August, so stay tuned to have the topic and the speaker we will host for this next webinar. It was a real pleasure for Daniel and myself to be with us today, and we can't wait for the next one in August for the Elevating Leader in You number 3. So if you like it, feedback is a gift, so please send us all the feedback you have regarding this session. It will be available in replay. We have our YouTube channel right now, so you can subscribe to the channel Elevate the Leader in You, and you will find all the webinar we did. Thanks very much.
Thank you
very much.
Jocelyn.
It really was a privilege to be with you. Thanks for all of you out there listening to us. I wish you a great summer, great projects in your lives. Be bold.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pauline. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.